Hello and welcome back to the Back Post. We were going to talk about the awful weekends we've just had, but then we remembered that Champions League draws were happening. So we're going to start with that because that's what the thumbnail now needs to be, because that's how this works, isn't it? If you're not first, you're last.
Exactly, and we're delaying the inevitable as well.
Yeah, we then have to talk about our fucking teams. But no, Jay, the Champions League draw has just happened, and we'll get, just before we talk about our teams, tasty Liverpool Real Madrid, repeat of last year's final.
Beautiful narrative there, isn't it? Like Real Madrid just not looking too hot this season, but neither are Liverpool. I mean, they're top
compared to Liverpool.
Compared to Liverpool, I mean,
yeah,
we ain't talked about your game yet, but yeah, that's a tasty little narrative right there, isn't it?
Valverde, I'm not happy because I've got a lot to say about the game.
Yeah.
You're trying to rope me in early. You expect Real Madrid to come through that. To be honest, quite easily. I know Liverpool are a different beast in the Champions League. That's always the narrative, isn't it? Like, oh, it's Liverpool in the Champions League. But it's Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Yeah, they have more of that status, don't they?
Pipe down. And then obviously PSG, Bayern Munich not losing a single game, not even dropping a point, I don't think, in their group, and still drawing PSG, which you expect them to smash, to be honest, because of the mentality there. But it's annoying, isn't it, for Bayern?
Yeah, if you're a Bayern fan.
Here is your award: Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
But we topped the group.
Yeah. Or maybe Renato Sanchez will, haunt his former club.
Or Choupo-Moting.
Oh, Chupo.
Chupo narrative there.
Love that.
There's narratives all over the place. Where else? What else
Well,
we
yeah,
got?
City obviously have Leipzig. You expect City to go through that. Benfica to beat
City have
Bruges.
Leipzig. Of course they do. That's so annoying, isn't it?
Well, at least Liverpool don't have Porto.
Yeah, very true.
That's
but
Inter
still.
Milan's job.
Yeah.
So Inter will beat Porto. Benfica will beat Bruges. City will beat Leipzig. Napoli will beat Frankfurt. And then we get on to the hours. So
big games.
I'm a big fan of our draw.
I'm surprised. Are you a big fan of it because of the idea of the game, or are you happy because you think you could beat Milan?
Both.
Really?
Don't give me that shit. You've just beat them 5-0 on aggregate.
I know.
Don't
It's
come
mad,
at me.
isn't
And
it?
like, obviously Milan's a challenge, but it's not a horrible challenge. It's not a Bayern Munich challenge. You've got fantastic players there. You've got quality throughout the squad. But at the end of the day, they're a beatable side, and it's the Champions League. You've got to beat some. Jesus Christ!
There's so much noise.
So much is going on today. You've got to beat teams in the Champions League, and the exact same thing will be said with you and Dortmund. They are a big team that can cause you massive problems, but actually they're the kind of team that it's not low. It's not beating. No offense, but it's not beating Bruges. It's beating.
There's three categories in it. There's the Bruges, there's the Bayern at the top, and then AC and Dortmund right now are in that little middle section. Yeah,
I'm not an idiot.
Sure.
I've seen Leipzig absolutely slap us out the Champions League. Like I'm aware of that, but that's the risk you take. So let's have it. I'm excited. The one of the last Champions League, depending if they win or lose, it could be one of the last ever Champions League games at the San Siro.
I mean,
who knows?
Exactly. And
a lot of history there with Tottenham's first ever Champions League sort of foray, with Peter Crouch scoring the winner at the San Siro, Gareth Bale's breakout season against Inter and AC. It's one of those ones, and the fixtures of it's one of those ones that means a lot historically to the club, so therefore it's exciting, and I'm excited. And
Fair.
I think everything I've just said can maybe be applied to Dortmund, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think of what I was going to say, and you were saying it's a really exciting game. The atmosphere at both grounds would be good. I think it's good to get one of those middle tier clubs in this at this
that
point.
Are loud.
Yeah, because if you get like Bruges and you beat them easily, and obviously they could beat you, but if you do slap Bruges, you're not mentally ready for the next round, are you?
No.
You've got to beat the best to be the best. That's what's happened in previous seasons when we've done well in the Champions League. So I'm very happy about this. Also nice to, maybe sweet talk Jude a little bit. You know what I mean? Show him around the bridge.
Jude is not.
Show him around.
It makes you
ignore.
Do we know
City
the side
and
of the
Liverpool.
draws yet? That's next round. We know the side of the draws, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you want to avoid that Bayern, Paris, Liverpool, Madrid side of the draw. Obviously, Napoli and City are fantastic and probably the worst teams to get in the next round, but there's a few games, like the fact that Benfica haven't lost at home for 2 years, and they were one of the teams I was most frightened of getting.
That's such an
I
easy one to
we are
fall
losing
over.
to Benfica, and we would miss reunite. This is from Ross, but we'd be missing reuniting with Vertonghen by a year.
Oh yeah,
He left.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's odd that. But it's the kind of game you go out and you're like, oh, what have we done?
That's such a
So-
Tottenham thing, yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
I'm overall not annoyed by this. I mean, I said this last year when we drew Madrid and that happened. But yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Remember when you played really well for like 7 minutes then?
And we almost did it, and then Benzema was like, no.
Not
But
today.
we'll move on to the Europa League because
But we'll move on to the Europa. We'll
move on to the
We'll
first
move
game.
on to Barcelona drawing Man United, which is such an interesting draw. Two clubs that are just a shadow.
That's a Europa League
This
game.
game.
That should be a Champions League
There we
final.
go. Okay, good. I thought you were saying that like
That's a Europa League game. No, but how
It
mad?
is.
Just a really simple. Good job, Jay. No, but that's a Champions League final game.
yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah, but it's mad though.
You got
isn't
Lewandowski against.
Marshall.
I was going to think of Ericsson. Really, is my like, but De Gea. Do you know De Gea's 10 minutes off playing the most minutes of any player ever in the Premier League?
Ever? Really?
He's gaining on
Over-
Gareth. He's 10 minutes behind Gareth Barry.
I'm gonna say over Barry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quiz question is gonna be ruined forever. Now you have to think of De Gea instead of Barry. That's mad, actually. But I mean, it makes sense for a goalkeeper to
He's
get
a
that.
legend. He's a true Premier League legend.
I think he will get looked at like that after when he goes. But right now, when he still lets a little goal in by Leon Bailey.
What's happening in this game, Joe?
Oh, I mean, everything I've seen and heard of Barcelona this year has been utter trash. So that's my kind of concept of them at the moment. They're not doing very well. They're struggling.
I've got one question for you.
But then United have kind of done a weird flip flop this whole season where they've been good some weeks, bad some weeks. So it's a really hard one to pick. But what's your question?
It's quite simple. Who's a better team at the moment? Aston Villa or Barcelona? Because that's how football works.
This is how football works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
because
United have just lost 3-1 to Aston Villa. So
Yeah.
by that logic, it'll be 8-2 to...
Yeah,
I
Lewandowski
think.
scoring all 8.
No, I do think Barcelona will. I think both clubs come... It's a bad time for this game to happen in history. It's not as exciting as it should be, but I don't know how United deal with Lewandowski on the pitch. I don't think Lisandro Martinez, the butcher of Ajax, does manage to cease that. I think even though Rafinha and Dembele burn hot and cold, I just think the chances of them turning it on for this game is much higher than the likes of Martial and Rashford.
Yeah, and by all accounts, Barca are having a terrible season. Winning a Europa League might just soften the blow a little bit there for Xavi, for those players. So maybe they'll be going at this a bit further than Manchester United, who might have an eye on the Premier League top 4 more than the Europa League.
I mean, they did lose to Frankfurt last season, remember?
Yeah.
Who won it? So, that's disrespectful of me. I apologise.
Let's not do that to Frankfurt. But that's a huge, fun game to look forward to in the Europa League. But the rest of them.
The winner, well, you say it, the winner of that tie, either getting, Juventus could easily lose. They are true. I don't even want to talk about Juventus. They're truly horrible. But the winner of either United or Barca potentially going to Jose's Roma.
Oh,
That's tasty, isn't it?
That's so fun.
That's a tasty thought.
Either one, that's so fun. And
There's a hipster game in there. We've got Ajax Union Berlin. We love that.
that is a hit. That is the
The
definition
game of the
a-
hipsters.
But that would be a little fun.
Monaco, Leverkusen is kind of sexy. You've got Xavi Alonso there, manager of Bayer Leverkusen, going there. PSV, Sevilla, don't care. Sporting, Midtjylland. Fuck you, Sporting. Remember when your manager was all, oh, fuck on, come on. Right, are we done with the draw?
I think we're done with the draw. It's exciting, but it's not going to happen until next year. So we're going to forget about it until next
We'll
year.
revisit this. We'll do this exactly. We'll re-release this in a year. In a year.
In a year.
Shit. Anyway, that is the end of a quite chaotic part 2. We're on. Fuck.
Welcome back to part 2, where we have to talk about the weekend's football. It was sorry, the sound coming from outside.
Big. Let's start again. Silence.
What that's called me. Is it gone? Don't you dare say that again.
Right.
So welcome back to part 2. We have to talk about the weekend's football. Unfortunately, we've teetered around it, but we have to get into it. We'll start with Chelsea because it was first, and also a terrible game. I don't know where to start really. That game, I woke up 20 minutes before, early kickoff on the Sunday, and it was a bit jarring because instantly you wake up and you're nervous. You're nervous for a big game like that, and instantly I'm like, oh, fuck. Turn the telly on and watch that. absolute piece of garbage. And my first thought instantly after the game was Arsenal weren't that great. It was us being really bad. It was us being really, really bad. I think there was no cohesion. There was no plan. The players didn't look like they knew what they were doing. And Arsenal, I feel like the media and Arsenal fans, of course, will say how they battered Chelsea. They only had one chance other than the mistake that we allowed them to score. Other than that, they didn't look like scoring, but neither did we. And that's me clutching at something there.
I hate this. I have to say, I agree with the fact that they weren't exactly threatening. Oh, God, give me strength. It was professional.
Yeah.
And I hate it. It's a 1-0 from a centre-back. It's that. It's an English Premier League win, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a keeping it tight. Oh, he didn't actually head it, but for the analogy, a centre-back knocks it into the back post. Cucurella is just attempting to have a cuddle.
Oh, don't get me started on that geezer, man. What is he doing?
What is he doing?
He's
having a cuddle.
And he goes like that and watches the ball. He goes, oh. He's been terrible this whole season, Cucurella, and it's worrying now because Chilwell's out. We have to play him. Left back. So I don't know where that gets better.
It was a strange move in hindsight of you, because I've always rated him and I really like him. But it was a very strange move of you to spend that much money on one of the Premier League's most injury-prone centre-backs in Fofana.
Yeah.
And I like him. I like him a lot. But he just spent like a year out. And he played 10 games in a row for Leicester. And
well, I mean, this comes to a big point that I've got. The recruitment looks to be one of the worst we've had in a while, really. Like, we spent so much money and we look worse for it. That doesn't make any sense. Cucurella, we spent 60 million on him. He's looked terrible. Obviously, he can turn it around. We know there's a good player there, but he's been shocking so far. Fofana, he's, like you say, injury prone. So we spent, how much did we spend on him?
I think it was
60,
up there. It was up there.
On him as well for an injury-prone player like him. Koulibaly hasn't really reached the heights. Aubameyang.
No. Aubameyang is said nothing personal, Arsenal fans. I'm here. I'm blue. I'm ready.
Have you seen now that we drew Dortmund? They're like nothing personal, Dortmund. It's like shit. No. He looked absent yesterday. He's looked absent for most of the games that he's played, other than the few ones.
Which is mad, because when he went to Barcelona, he just caught fire. He always catches fire, and it's mad that he hasn't, and I don't know why.
I can't put my finger on it. He just doesn't look fully at it.
Does he care?
You have to.
Is he just like?
You have to.
I'm being passed around. He's clearly been shown. He feels like he's been shown no loyalty by Arsenal. I'm not agreeing with that. I'm just saying that's how he will.
Yeah, that's how he'll perceive it. Yeah.
And he's gone to Barcelona. He's like, fucking hell! Like how have I swung this?
Barcelona.
And then they've gone, yeah, see you later. And he must be a bit like.
But then it's.
Maybe
don't
he's
worry, though,
scared to love again.
Well, that you're with Tuchel. Go play with your old boy, and then we fuck off Tuchel, and now he's just been left there.
He's scared to fall in love again. That's what's happened.
Again. And when you won't love again, you won't play well.
I want to tell him to believe and open his heart, but also I want him to continue perennially failing. So I'm conflicted. No, there's nothing to say about this game. You were terrible, and it upset me, and I hate this fixture more than any other because I have to support Chelsea. Obviously, especially in these dire Arsenal top of the league circumstances. I was halfway through getting a scarf out. Come on, boys!
You know what it was as well? Just we were a team clearly lacking like direction at the moment. We're lacking. We look like a team that's been, and this has been the problem for years now. We've got pieces of the Sarri team still there, the Lampard team, this Tuchel team that he started building, and now it's Potter that's got all of this mess in front of him. And that team was up against Arteta's team, his players, something he's been building for a few years, and it's now looking cohesive and good. And that's why ultimately, like you said, it was a professional win. There's nothing else to it other than that, I think.
I'm going to bring this up once more, and I don't believe it's the right call at all, but when do we start getting a little bit tetchy about the fans and Potter, just in terms of the weight of Chelsea on his shoulders?
I'm already annoyed with the fans because the last couple of days on Twitter, or the last day or so, has been terrible. Like, why did we sack Tuchel? Like, could have been the biggest mistake of Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, like, I wasn't happy with sacking Tuchel. I didn't like that. But most of these fuckers that are saying that probably wanted him out the door. Yeah. It's horrible. And
so much weight on his shoulders.
The pressure's
so heavy.
I think it's already mounting. I think the only saving grace of Graham Potter will be that I think Bowley's he's made his choice.
He relies on Bowley because it's nothing against Potter. Potter's my favourite manager in the league, bar any that are related kind of to Tottenham.
Yeah.
But obviously that's tarnished now. But he's English and he looks old and he looks tired.
The fans online, I won't say the fans in the stadium because I'm not sure, but the fans online have already started to turn, which is horrible, and it's been 2 fucking losses. And I think, to be honest, there's a deeper problem than the management, because Tuchel had games where he couldn't get these players to work. Yeah. He said it. I think there's a famous quote from Tuchel, and I think Lampard said the same thing. Like, it's not working because it's the same players. It's the same players that keep doing I think we need what Arsenal did. We need a getting rid of everything and starting again almost.
Potter's a better manager than Arteta. That's the takeaway we should take from this.
But to do that,
he just needs to be.
Why are we signing Sterling? Why are we signing Aubameyang? You know what I mean? I think Bowley's got a lot on his head at the minute. I think he's come in. I don't think he's done anything right yet, other than maybe signing Potter for a long-term deal, which could become really cool and really fun. But other than that, he's done a lot wrong so far. The recruitment's been terrible. The way he's conducted himself's been terrible. And it's been a rough start for him as Chelsea owner. And I think that's where a lot of the problems have come from so far. And now Chelsea fans, I think we're just going to have to learn to suffer for a few years, because if this is a project, if this is where we're going as a club, we're going to lose to Arsenal. We're going to lose some shit
Which
games.
is the third time in a row you've lost at home to
Stamford
Arsenal.
Bridge. Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's the worst fixture for me at the moment, and now of course we've got 2 big games coming up before the World Cup. We've got City in the League Cup, which is
the Carabao.
great. The Carabao, Pep's Carabao that he lost last year, he wants back. Looking forward to that. So he's just going to come and batter us on Wednesday, and then we've got Newcastle, team in hot form, on the weekend before the World Cup. So I can't wait for the fucking World Cup, Josh. Please just give us a break from this shite football, because
give Chilwell a break.
Give Chile a break. He weren't going to play anyway, was he?
Yeah, you can't.
He wasn't. No, but he wasn't going to anyway.
Anyway, let's move on, because I don't know I don't know how you feel about the Tottenham Liverpool, Jay, but
I'm fuming, Josh.
no, I meant, but you've obviously just spoken about a team with a lack of heart. Let's call it. Let's just call it that, for lack of a better word, lack of desire, whatever you want to call it.
Sorry, can I just say, there was, when Graham made the substitutes, Broja and Gallagher were the only 2 players that looked like they had heart on that pitch.
A bit out of depth.
But they looked lost, exactly, 100%. But it was nice to see them there. It's also nice that Potter's giving them the chance, and hopefully that is the future. But sorry.
Cool. No, it's all good. So, first half, truly, absolutely every single thing you've just described applies to us. We were absolutely desperate, aside from Perisic hitting the crossbar with a pretty neat finish. Actually, I was quite very sad about that. So anyway, I left that first half. We came out that second half a completely different side. We were brilliant the second half. We battered them. We played better than Liverpool had in the first. We deserved to win the game. I'm convinced of it. I've got things to say. I'm annoyed. Harry Kane scored against Chelsea with the faintest push against in the back. That got ruled out. Cancelo got a red card and a penalty for the weirdest little fumble last week against Fulham. But twice, Trent Alexander-Arnold did not attempt to play the ball and shove Sessegnon to the ground. I don't particularly want to live in a world where that's that bad, but we're living in that world. And why wasn't it given? It was Stonewall. Thiago, or was it Fabinho? I can't remember which one.
Thiago.
Kicked Lucas Moura in the head in the box.
Well,
that's dangerous.
I rewatched it, and his boot was it kind of just brushed
It's still a foul.
eyebrow.
It's still a foul.
This was my point. And it mad that if it went just a centimetre further and actually maybe knocked him a little bit, that's a straight red. Yeah. Because I think the thinking of VAR and the ref, because it's only here, it's not. That's stupid.
It's a high foot, isn't it? That's
a dangerous act.
Disallowed in football for God knows how long. Obviously, Perisic then hits the bar again, or the post, I think, again. Alisson gets very lucky by saving it on. And I really think Liverpool are incredibly lucky to come away and got a lot of decisions against them. I was incredibly pleased with what I saw, and just getting a little bit pissed off that Tottenham need to start so badly in every single game we play in order to do this. I don't really understand why Tottenham can't start well, but every single game I've watched them for ages, even the Sporting game, even the comeback against Bournemouth, we are playing so well. when our backs are up against the wall
It must be so weird to like comment on Tottenham right now, because every game you finish, you're like buzzing. We've played well, but every game you start,
and you're like, Liverpool scored first, and I was there like, it's fine. This is exactly how I expected it.
Score one more, and then we'll come.
Yeah, but then when Eric Dyer makes the mistake for the second one, and I saw a really good point on Twitter, I'm sure you saw it, that someone tweeted, and I love Eric Dyer, he's one of my favourite Tottenham players ever. I love him, and he loves me, as the song goes. 3-4 years ago, Dyer, yes, was a bit more of a starter, but Dyer and Davies were backup players for Toby and Jan. So to be this, again, when you talk about recruitment, Romero is a wonderful signing. Lenglet has actually impressed me quite a lot recently. He's really, really good on the ball. But to have these two players starting against Liverpool, and Romero injured but just back in time for the World Cup, you just sat there going a bit like, how are we in this position? Why don't we have a Gradevol from Leipzig? Why don't we have a Bastoni from Inter Milan? Why don't we have someone else?
All these links that you've had.
Or the Kunde link. Why haven't we spent big on a centre-back to replace what was probably one of the most impressive parts of our team for those Poch years? Yeah. Two commanding centre-backs. And I like Ben Davies.
Yeah, I mean...
I like him.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, I think since Conte's come, you've recruited well, but you can't change a whole squad in one window.
Yeah, you can't.
So you need loads of windows, don't you? And the last couple, like since Poch, you should have, and you haven't, and that's why you're in this position where you are starting Ben Davies and Dyer. That's the it's as simple as that, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think if you trust Conte, and if you can deal with his shit for the next couple windows, maybe you will have a world-class team.
It's also unfair of me to blame recruitment, because Bentancur has had such a good season.
I think you've had great recruitment this last 2 windows, but like you've had 5 before that you've done hardly anything.
We literally had that one where we did nothing.
So, like that's why Tottenham are in this position. So maybe it's Conte that's changing.
And also we don't go to Liverpool. Liverpool come to us without Romero, without Richarlison, Kulusevski, not. But without Son,
you had one attacker.
Yeah, exactly. We had Perisic. Like everyone's in everyone's FPL praying for a couple of goals and a clean sheet because he's a defender. But I will say, special mention. Kulusevski comes on.
Oh yeah.
The first attack. That ball looks like I could do it piss easily. That is such a difficult ball. It's so perfectly weighted. He's such a player. Tottenham, pay the money. Don't let Juve have him back.
What a
please.
What
I love him.
Is that an option? Can they get him back?
Yeah, he's not. We haven't signed him permanently yet. It's like Romero. We have. They're ours. But
if Juve go,
if suddenly Juve do, I think if we qualify for the Champions League,
I
think it's an obligation.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how that works. But if we fuck it up a little bit, Juventus could go, hang on a minute. Di Maria's 86.
I mean, Juve aren't in the position to be passing up a player like him, and he is. Yeah, he's a brilliant player. You've missed him so much in the last couple of games, and you're right. Second he came on, game changer.
I think we win the game if he starts.
Potentially, yeah. But I mean,
I don't think we should have won anyway.
But yeah.
And Trent cannot start the World Cup.
So that was, you know what? When I wrote notes, first note I wrote, not the fact that you lost, and you know, as a Chelsea fan, that should be my favourite thing about this game. First thing I wrote was Trent is terrible. He's such a shit defender.
He played. You'll get that. You'll get that ball that he played.
Yeah,
the diagonal he played, on loop on all the
Right.
Twitter accounts.
He's shocking. I'm sorry. I've watched enough of Liverpool this season, annoyingly too much, to know that Trent, he's having a stinker of a season. He's not a great defender, and if he starts at the World Cup, which is likely because of all the injuries, we're fucked. Because if any one of those attacking players in the group stage just goes at him, he'll let them pass. Trippier has to start right back, has to.
Well, who starts left back then?
It has to be Shaw then, doesn't it? That's who it will be. You're going to make a case for Sessegnon?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Sessegnon, I mean, yeah.
I don't think it's too late for Sessegnon, sadly. I would have liked to see him as a backup option when we need to go for it a little bit more. But James Justin, maybe?
Even then, it might be too late for him.
Yeah. He's had a cap, though.
This is the problem with the
He's had a little cap.
He's had a cheeky cap, but This is the problem with the World Cup being what it is. You've mentioned Romero being injured but waiting, and
it's going to be a very interesting last 2 games of the season. How many players have we seen drop like flies that are devastated? Look at Varane in that last United fixture.
Chilwell, Reece.
Yeah, absolutely heartbroken players.
Reece a shoe-in for the World Cup. Chile didn't get looking at the Euros, maybe not a shoe-in, but wanted to go to.
I think if he was fit this season, I think he would have been ahead of Shaw, even in Southgate's.
He should have been. So, and that could have been his first. And absolute devastation for both of them and Varane and like everyone. It's terrible decision to have the World Cup in the winter. It's annoying. That being said, I'm excited for the World Cup.
But looking forward to seeing Christian Pulisic, Todd Bowley's golden boy against the United Kingdom. Yeah, I'll try and put that off today. Still haven't done it.
Decent accent.
Still haven't booked it off.
You fucking book it off, man.
Right, okay, we're done. That's the game. Are we done? Yeah, the fixtures. Aston Villa, yeah. Newcastle, you mentioned, they're flying. Wolves, silly boys. Very soft pen for Man City.
I know, so soft.
Very upsetting.
Haaland in my team.
Yeah, same.
Thank you,
as always. And Everton Leicester, the game that always should be a draw. No team should ever win that fixture.
I had that as a draw.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
Thanks
it.
for watching. Appreciate you. Love you. Subscribe. Tell your dads. See you next week.
I don't know.
Wait. The World Cup. We got to figure that out. We'll figure that out. Love you. Bye.